My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Outdoor adventures often come with a side of itch. That's why you need Sarna Calm and Cool. Whether you're dealing with bug bites from an adventurous hike or skin irritations from an unexpected encounter with poison ivy, Sarna Calm and Cool provides the soothing care your skin needs. Sarna Calm and Cool lotion relieves itch and pain from insect bites, sunburn, and poison ivy with 1% permoxine hydrochloride and 0.5% menthol. Did you know Sarna is the #1 dermatologist recommended topical anti-itch brand? Learn more at sarnalotion.com today.
Summer is supposed to be an opportunity to slow down. But when you look at your kids, you can't help but notice that your kids are growing up fast. Help them build confidence as they grow with Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app for families where parents can keep an eye on kids' money habits while kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. It's the easy, convenient way to raise financially smart kids. Get your first month free when you sign up at greenlight.com/ACAST.
Hi, I'm Cara Berry, host of Everyone's Business But Mine. Think of me as your new friend and fellow busybody as I talk about everything under the pop culture sun, from the best way to detect a celebrity breakup or pregnancy, to recapping your favorite reality TV shows from the Housewives cinematic universe, Welcome to Plathville, Kardashians, and so much more. So check out Everyone's Business But Mine, airing multiple times a week everywhere you listen to podcasts.
Surviving Reality contains explicit content full of snark and sarcasm that may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Surviving Reality.
I'm Corey.
And I'm Carly, and today we are talking about Welcome to Plathville, Season 6, Episode 4, You're Like a Stranger to Me Now.
And before we watched this episode, I could have sworn that this was a Moriah to Ethan line that was going to come up, the stranger to me aspect in that conversation. I would have bet money on it, but I was surprised. This actually was a line that was delivered from Olivia to Moriah, which was a little weird.
Really? I'm not that surprised, just because Ethan and Moriah don't talk about anything serious together.
That's true. I guess she would never tell Ethan that he's like a stranger to her now, even though she feels like that. She might tell a producer that.
It's a dark thought that she's not going to bring to the surface. Her face is starting to look like a stranger to me.
Is it the makeup, or is it just the face in general?
I'm not sure. Does anyone else feel like Moriah is aging rapidly? Because, like you said, is it the makeup? Are we getting some fillers? What is happening? A lot of faces in this family are starting to look very different. Ethan's one of them. Micah was looking a little weird last season, too.
Micah had a look about him. Barry's face hasn't changed much. I guess he hasn't been harvesting souls to retain his youth. Not recently.
All right, what do we see in this episode?
The TLC description for this one is Ethan and Moriah bond over drinks. Kim gives Micah some relationship advice. Olivia drives to Minnesota hoping to finalize the divorce, but detours when Moriah asks her to meet up to hash things out.
Yeah, this person who wrote this did not watch this episode.
Did Ethan and Moriah bond over drinks? Not really. They bonded at a bar. I think this is a technicality.
And then nothing was really hashed out between Moriah and Olivia. It was just all right, everything's forgiven.
Oh, well.
Kind of.
Kind of, not even really. And does Kim give relationship advice to Micah?
Don't get married.
Did she outright say that, though? She didn't. So I don't think there was any of this stuff that we talked about. So we're going to need an episode rewrite description for this one to get a more accurate understanding of what we're about to embark upon here.
Kim hires a bosun for the RSS Mumspringa. Moriah gets caught looking like a clown. Olivia questions the timing of the most self-serving apology of all time.
It was very passive-aggressive, self-serving coded of an apology.
All right, before we get into the episode, we do have some quick announcements, and I promise they will be fast.
In case you missed it, go back one episode on the Surviving Reality feed. We dropped our Gypsy Rose crossover with Jody and Amanda from We Love to Hate Everything at the end of last week. So just in case you missed it, make sure to go back and give that a listen. We did a whole rundown of the Gypsy Rose locked up, life after lockup.
Locked up, locked down, going back to prison, maybe?
Lock it up, lock it in.
Can you believe that since we recorded that, there's a whole new set of drama around if police were actually called to Christy's home because she and Gypsy got in a fight?
Didn't even scratch the surface.
The new thing that's exploding on TikTok. There's new drama every day with Gypsy Rose.
Can't keep up. But in case you missed it, that has a good big general overview of a lot of the show and 2024 Gypsy up until last week at the time of recording.
And if you did enjoy that episode, we have hundreds of Let's Talk About It episodes over on our Patreon.
Couple hundred.
That's crazy.
And also hundreds of our Surviving Sister Wives episodes available ad-free over at patreon.com/survivingpod, where you'll also get access to our Discord, where we have our Plathville channel set up too, so you'll see all the silly gifs that I send out while we're watching the episode during the week as part of the live watch.
And thank you to everyone who has left us a review. We really appreciate it. And it's really helping the podcast to grow, which is exciting because we want to continue to bring you more content.
Which I guess we could just lead right into the content then, I guess now. We're over in Victoria, Minnesota to start off the episode. Well, kind of. We're going to take this in order of Plath family first, and then we'll kind of tie into the Olivia storyline at the end because that's the crossover point where Moriah and Olivia's paths cross.
You have to chunk these episodes out now because their paths do not often cross, although they do in this episode.
So we'll start off with the Plath siblings. Ethan, he's got his Wolverine jacket on. He's going out. Night at the bar with Moriah because she's 21 now. Lydia is still an infant and she's not able to join them. But I feel like the main reason why Lydia didn't come is because she's probably afraid of bars.
There is no way that even if Lydia was 21, she would have come here.
Absolutely not. Yeah, this is terrifying for her.
Not so much for Moriah and Ethan, though, because they have really adjusted to being around alcohol.
They've developed sort of an affinity for it, if you might say. But Ethan's taking a break. He's resting his liver this evening because he's ordering a coffee when they sit down at the bar, which isn't your usual fare that you would probably load up with.
So that's like, whatever. Do what you want when you go out to enjoy yourself. But the part that was weird about it was the whole point of going out was Moriah said, I'm taking Ethan out to have a drink together. And then they got there and she was like, you're going to order coffee? Okay.
I thought we were going to have a drink.
I kind of teed this up a little wrong with the cameras, but...
Well, I was almost thinking, was this an Ethan decision to dispel some of the alcoholism accusations that had been popping up from Olivia in more recent interviews?
Well, so she never outright said it that strongly.
Wow.
She said that alcohol was definitely a factor that contributed to the divorce. Where my head went was Olivia's going to be in town in the next few days. Is he not drinking because of that?
I was going to say, it doesn't really help that narrative to combat that.
Well, to address it in the way they did, especially the language Moriah used. He's not drinking right now.
Right now. Because, yeah, I think this just adds to it. Because if he's taking a break from drinking for right now, does that mean because if he starts to drink, he can't stop? He can't control it, so he doesn't want to do that around his family? Or because Olivia is coming to visit soon and they have to take care of the divorce stuff?
Maybe he's not in the right headspace to have a drink if he also perhaps has a hard time stopping drinking, knowing he's about to sign his divorce papers.
And I mean, I get it. I've avoided some consumption based on where your headspace is. We just heard him singing that song tonight. It didn't sound like that was a good headspace to be in. But that's not going to stop Moriah. She's still having a beer.
This is a weird conversation. They just talked about dating and what that's going to be like. Or Moriah, I guess, was wanting to talk about her own experiences dating and how she's kind of given up on it. And then that led Ethan to talking about how overwhelming it is to think about looking for someone who's going to have your children.
Well, yeah, because they were talking about Mariah's child, Blackjack, her dog.
Oh, I forgot about him.
So that was
the giant dog.
Yes. And how Blackjack has attachment issues and needs to be close to Moriah. So for the whole ride here, Blackjack was basically on top of her in the car. And I think that led into attachment issues, relationships, and then how do you find the right person? Because I think between the two of them, they're reaching the consensus that neither one of us knows how to find the right person.
They're not very good at this.
Bad judge of character.
Well, when you really only interact with 10 other people your entire life,
it's hard to get a read sometimes. And then you're being told that, hey, even though I'm doing shitty things to you, I love you. That gets confusing too. You get a lot of wires crossed, mixed signals that are coming through there. So they're kind of reaching this conclusion slowly but surely, because then they start feeding each other these simple platitudes that they can kind of just easily digest and pick apart, where they're just telling each other, well, when you know, you know. And Ethan has to combat that, where he's pointing out, well, I thought I knew with Olivia, but clearly I did not know, because now we are not a right fit for each other anymore.
He almost understands what happened, because then he mentions that they both changed. They both grew apart. That's what happened.
He almost took a little bit of responsibility for it too, a little bit, where he said she changed, he changed. They kind of had their own actions that led to the separation.
My opinion is that he didn't change, and that was the problem.
Well, I think he thought he changed when he was leaving the family.
Why? Because you drink soda and alcohol now?
Yes, that was why he was thinking that was changing. It was very different from his upbringing, so he thought he had changed. But I don't think he had changed.
No, he only did things that she asked him to do. He tolerated her experience of growth.
When it was fun for him, he was on board.
Well, sometimes even when it wasn't. But he didn't enjoy the fact that his partner was changing. He didn't change anything about himself. I just think it's very obvious that his mindset has stayed consistent from the time he left the Plath house. Like, Olivia did an interview where she talked about how they only changed 20% of themselves and the other 80% is the same.
Well, because that's just from the religion that they were brought up in as well, where it's a very strict sect of Christianity, fundamental Christianity. And the baseline underlayer of all of that is pretty much the same across a lot of those different, very strict view stances and ideologies that are shared. So that's probably about as close to Ethan taking some responsibility for the downfall of his marriage with Olivia as we're going to get. Moriah is starting to air some of her grievances now, where she's thinking back on the last year. She's made some mistakes herself, too, in terms of her relationship with Olivia.
He mentioned her first, so that kind of opened the door for Moriah to then say, well, I kind of asked Olivia if she wanted to meet up while she was here. Is that okay with you?
She's asking after the fact, so either they already talked about it, or, I mean, it's kind of a non-issue. You're asking for permission to talk to Ethan's soon-to-be ex-wife. Do you really need to at this point? I don't know if she was seeking permission of, is it okay if I try to smooth things over with Olivia? Should we all still be mad at her?
I mean, what else are you going to say?
Oh,
you did enough damage to this relationship as it is.
He immediately approves because he's like, well, that's up to you. If you feel compelled to do so, knock yourself out.
If you ask me, she just wants to promote her song.
This feels like an easy way to sneak that in. A little self-promotion, a little promo.
I do want to mention that the outfit that she's wearing while she's out at the bar, if you go on her Instagram and look at her stories from before Circus came out, she was wearing the same outfit, same hair, same makeup, same jewelry, and she was filming herself in the car talking about preparing to drop the song. So leading up to this very conversation, she's been working on promoting her music.
And that was the whole basis of the downfall of their relationship between Moriah and Olivia, is because of the whole music mix-up, the Spotify login, the litigation that soon followed.
The threat in litigation.
Threats of litigation.
If Moriah doesn't know how to log into her own Spotify account, I don't think she knows how to contact an attorney.
It's going to be really hard to serve Olivia.
Outdoor adventures often come with a side of itch. That's why you need Sarna Calm and Cool. Sarna Calm and Cool provides the soothing care your skin needs. Sarna Calm and Cool lotion relieves itch and pain from insect bites, sunburn, and poison ivy with 1% pramoxine hydrochloride and 0.5% menthol. Did you know Sarna is the #1 dermatologist recommended topical anti-itch brand? Learn more at sarnalotion.com today.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
So we're left there on the edge of our seats to find out what's going to happen because Olivia has agreed that she will meet her, and we're just waiting for that confrontation.
Moriah's making it clear up front she's not looking for an apology from Olivia. She's just there to deliver an apology to Olivia that may or may not be received. So we'll have to stay tuned for more details on that later.
All right, let's get to the good part of the episode because whenever Kim is involved, some crazy shit is happening.
I like how you pointed out, Kim seems to only be doing things that are alcohol adjacent now, though.
They're going line dancing. Apparently, Amber knows how to teach line dancing.
Well, because Kim's a cool mom now. And you're at the chill spot in Crawfordville, Florida.
Which confirmed is a bar. Which, okay. You do you, Kimmy.
She has shifted. I would say she's probably getting dangerously close to, she's like 3.5 steps away from owning and operating her own Margaritaville at this point.
I'll just say this is odd for anyone to allow their, what is she, like 14, 15, 14-year-old daughter, something like that?
She can't drive.
To run her own line dancing class outside of a bar. They couldn't do it inside, obviously.
Well, yeah, she's getting carted at the door. You're getting left out in the cold, just like Lydia was. I thought at first when we were watching this, maybe this is happening like at the marina. Was this a event that was going on? No, we drove to a separate location. We let them take us to a secondary location. Always a problem. And that's just what's happening this episode. But not only that, not only dancing, but we're also seeing there's a bunch of makeup that's involved. The devil's war paint that Amber is putting on her face.
The girls have their ears pierced.
Makeup, outfits, clothes.
The little one, what's her name? Samara. She's got her shirt tied up.
That was a safe choice.
Why does she always make it seem as though these were Barry's rules?
Yeah, it's fun to just go ahead and deflect and put that all on Barry, even though she was very much involved in the control aspects of that.
Nah, that wasn't Kim.
Oh, no.
She doesn't care anymore. She doesn't care about a lot of things anymore.
She can't mastermind like that. She's too boozed up now. Can't keep her story straight.
I actually didn't keep an eye on her during this class because she took it. Did she do well?
She stayed upright. So that's good. I think that's more complicated than walking heel to toe and placing your finger on the tip of your nose. But those are things that she probably has second nature by now.
Maybe we should practice that as well. Ken's here because Ken is a supportive stepdad. Wannabe stepdad. I don't think it'll ever happen for him.
Hashtag be there. Hashtag just be there.
That's a Sister Wives joke.
Oh, yeah, it is.
The girls have a good rapport with him. I really enjoyed the choice of words.
Eventually, too, because Amber lets us know, yeah, when I first met Ken, wasn't a really big fan of his, but he's all right now.
He worked really hard at winning the girls over. He did things like buy them ice cream.
Don't tell Barry. Barry's not going to like that.
The look on Kim's face when he said that, she like shot daggers. He didn't even know, I think. Do you think he's seen the early seasons of this show? Does he know anything about who Kim was in her past life?
I don't think Ken watches a lot of TV.
Something tells me.
Something tells me.
Something tells me he's got bunny ears in that. Is it a cabin?
Did you picture him in a cabin? Is that a cabin?
I thought there was a lot of wood paneling in his house.
Yeah,
Did I make that up? Did I just place that there?
Did you build a log cabin in your mind for Ken to live in?
I'm pretty sure he lives in a log cabin and he has a bedspread that looks like camo. Did I make that up?
Bedspread that looks like camo. I think you went too far.
I'm stereotyping now?
Yeah, that was a stereotype.
All right.
But I think he probably watches a lot of swamp people. Hunting squirrel, maybe.
All right. Now we're taking it too far.
It's too far.
This poor man, he just wants these kids to like him.
And he seems fun.
Does he?
He seems like he's trying to be fun. Is that a better way to say that?
He's trying his hardest.
He's trying his best.
He really he sounds very monotoned. Does he get excited about anything?
Does Barry get excited?
Oh, so she has a type.
Yeah, I think this is a Kim problem. And she's making it an everyone problem.
This whole scene was supposed to be like the evolution of Amber. And then they showed the best scene ever, where she asks Kim why she wouldn't be the one who moves out of the house when she was the one who wanted a divorce. And I say, Amber, be careful with what you asked for, because that really backfired.
Yeah, I think Amber is really regretting that question to Kim now, because
now you live on a boat.
The punishment did not fit the crime in this instance. But then we have the producers telling Kim that Amber said that Kim is her best friend. And Kim cries a little bit.
Does she?
Gets emotional, tries to, but then she also doesn't say anything.
No, she stops short of actually experiencing an emotion. That was a red flag for me.
Well, and there was no return of, wow, that's really moving, or
she's my best friend as well.
She's my best friend too. Well, I would hope that she wouldn't have that sort of response. But even just, I don't know, it was a strange reaction to me.
Kim doesn't have any friends.
She's got Ken.
That's her boyfriend.
Yeah. There's friend on the end of that. Well, if you'd like to book Amber for events, you should probably email her at dancingBoots@aol.com.
No G. Too bad Kim lost the dance studio. I'm going to guess she lost it. Ran that thing into the ground.
Can you lose? Yeah. What would we define that as? Losing?
Did she ever host a class?
I think there were a few. Thinking back on it in my mind, I'm just thinking that it was just the girls that were there. It was just the 3 younger daughters that were doing things as part of this. I don't know if she had paying customers at any point, which seems to be a big part of business.
Well, and Barry leased it for her.
Yeah, so that's probably right out.
He stopped paying the bills there.
Once he found out that she was shacking up with Ken in his log cabin in the woods, he probably shuttered that up pretty quick.
There's no way she lives on that boat full time.
There cannot be.
Well, and that brings us to the next part of the episode, because Micah stops by. Last time they were there, he learned that this boat does not leave the dock. It has not started, she said, in like over a year.
It doesn't run.
She doesn't even seem to know where the key is to turn the boat on.
She's pretty sure there's an engine on board. She knows the general vicinity of where it is, but she knows only that it does not work in the way that you would expect a boat to operate.
He's got a lot of questions because Micah's not really familiar with boats. And you would think that somebody who lives on one would know how to answer basic questions.
Do your blowers work?
She's like, excuse me?
What? That's a personal question, Micah. And not one you should be asking your mother.
She doesn't know port from starboard?
Starboard? Carly?
Starboard?
Starboard? Port and starboard?
Yeah, she doesn't know this from that. Left from right. She knows.
She doesn't know.
She knows she keeps the port in the wine fridge.
She doesn't know drawer from cupboard. I'll wait for you to piece that one together. All right, never mind. Well, I like when Micah first pulled up to the houseboat, though. He had to check in with his faceless girlfriend on the phone and let her know he was going to be out of radio contact for a little while, too. Because I just get the feeling that's going to be a bigger part of his storyline moving forward here, where there's going to be some evidence report requests.
I think so, too. He keeps saying how much he likes her, and it feels a little, the lady doth protest too much.
He's brainwashing himself.
Yes, he's trying to convince himself that he likes her that much.
Yeah, he has to.
I really think he's trying to escape her And that's why he's decided that he's going to volunteer to make this boat run again. Because Kim also doesn't seem that concerned about it.
It looks a lot colder, too. He has like a bigger coat on when he's coming back out here. He's telling his girlfriend he's going to be gone for a few days. So is he staying on the boat with Kim for a few days?
He should, because then Kim would have to stay there. She probably... How fast do you think she had to drive over here? Well, somebody had to drive her.
Yeah.
Did she drive?
Maybe the ATV. Maybe she four-wheeled over here.
She had to Uber over here so fast to get back on the boat because she was hanging at Ken's. Hanging on Ken. Ken's.
Well, yeah. So we know that Mama Plath can't have keys around. Most of those have been revoked. So that's what Mike is on the next step of the line of questioning here for the boat. We're trying to fix this thing. Do you have any keys on board? And Kim's racking her brain trying to figure this one out. There's a key somewhere. I don't know if it's even to this.
If you're going to live on the boat, I think knowing where the key to the boat is would be pretty important.
Wait, upon further inspection, this is actually the key to the liquor cabinet. I apologize.
One of many.
Yeah, that's the port one. And then there is the starboard side too. So couple few laying around still. She has no idea, no understanding of what this boat is that she purchased. How is this marina even allowing her to live here? I get the feeling marinas don't really
encourage people living on boats.
Yeah.
Especially boats that don't function.
Are not fit for habitable space.
It is Florida. There's no rules. Florida woman buys broken boat, sails it to the Bermuda Triangle.
Dime a dozen on that story. A tale as old as time. But let's get into the real talk. Now that we've got the boat pretty much dismantled here and we're trying to figure out the essential pieces, parts, how are things going with your girlfriend? The answer that Micah gives is, we're doing good, but it had that amount of a pause on there too. So if you're going by the Seinfeld rules, it's when you touch your face, it's like the height of where you're touching your face is the intensity level of how bad things actually are. If you scratch your nose, if you rub your eye, if you're top of the forehead, it's an indicator. For me, it's the length of pause when you're thinking, when you say, we're doing good. It's a red flag.
Maybe he was worried about what she already knew. He has to think that if she's bringing it up, she's snooping. There's something that she wants to talk about because Kim doesn't generally inquire about the details of your life.
This is true. But even the verbiage that he's using, the terminology that he's throwing around is, she stole my heart. She dragged me down to South Florida.
Oh, I didn't catch this.
There's a lot of verbiage that's flying around there. So I don't know if there's just subconscious resentment that's already being established.
Ooh.
I'm feeling it.
He was talking in the other episode about how she's very strong-willed. And it doesn't seem that growing up in the church that they did, with the belief system that they did, that a strong-willed woman is a positive thing.
Does he think that he'll be able to break her like a wild stallion? A stallion is a male horse, though, isn't it? So I'll have to change that description.
I hated everything you just said.
I don't have horse facts at the ready here, though. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's really not our... I have not caught up on Snoop and Martha's equestrian commentary, so we need to learn our horse facts.
This is very true. Sugar cubes, carrots, and apples. That's all I know.
Well, anyway, she wants to talk to him because she heard a rumor, the rumor mill.
The Brown family rumor mill.
The Brown family rumor mill, the Plath family rumor mill, which consists of Carrie, Wednesday, and Pennywise. Well, so Hope, Faith, and Grace, they were like, look, we heard from Micah's girlfriend. Does she have a name? We're just calling her girlfriend.
It's just girlfriend.
All right. We heard from the girlfriend that he didn't get her any gifts.
No gifts, no birthday gift, and no Christmas gift last year. And this is third-hand information? Is that how many degrees of separation we have at this point? But Micah's actually a little impressed. I would be kind of upset at this point. Plus, why is your girlfriend texting your little sisters that she's never met? This is weird.
That is kind of strange. I figured that they had seen each other in person. That was an assumption on my part.
Yeah, because we don't know.
You know what vibes this was giving? When everyone liked Olivia early on.
Very much so.
And we enmeshed the little children with Olivia.
And that's what keeps you holding on to abide by all these other weird rules that are set down and established, because you don't want to cut off contact with all these people, these little people that you've made connections with.
Well, and Kim love-bombed Olivia at first. And it seems like that's what she's doing here, because the whole point of this was to tell Micah he needs to stop doing that.
Well, this is where Micah starts getting into a little bit more of how he's feeling, because there is some conflicted energy that's there too, because he kind of misses California, but he is choosing to focus on Florida. He had built up and established his life in California on his own. There was independence. He was building out his modeling career, and now it's Florida.
Why don't you just live close by to your girlfriend and not in her house?
Well, his living situation in LA at one point, I think he was technically like house sitting for someone.
I think he just like couch surfs.
He wasn't paying rent on a regular basis. Like, he was being paid to live in places.
Okay, well, let's
do that.
Let's get our ass up and work.
Work.
In the words of Kim Kardashian / Moriah Plath, get out there and work. And then you can pay your rent and you can live independently from your girlfriend. And maybe we wouldn't have to have conversations with your mom about how frightened you are. Veiled conversations.
Well, and buy your significant other gifts on holidays and special occasions. Maybe it's because Kim and Barry never gave their children presents on their birthdays or Christmas. Do we think that maybe that was a contributing factor on why Micah didn't really see the importance of this?
That's true. Maybe that just slipped his mind because that's not something that he's used to.
Plus, he's saying that there was flower delivery that was taking place.
He talks about how expensive it is to order flowers.
And he moved to Florida to save on flower delivery costs.
Does he think that he ordered flowers in California and they drove them all the way to Florida and that he paid for that?
Depending on the shipping costs, he might have.
He's like, now I'll just go to Publix.
Swing it on by.
$20, I'm out of there.
Some stupid little thing from CVS.
When Kim talked about how she thought that Micah would be single for a long time and nervously giggled, that was very revealing to me.
Because it's Kim living vicariously through Micah's single life.
I think it was a vision Kim had for her future as well.
Being single for a while. Well, then why did she end up with Ken so quickly then?
Because she has no place to live. I'm convinced Barry took all the money.
It's all tied up in assets that are in his name because he's the husband. And this is one of the reasons why Micah's nervous about things getting serious with his girlfriend. He's talking about how he's seen a lot of divorces and the majority of relationships end in divorce. And there are 2 divorces that are happening in his family currently.
Again, bad judge of character.
Because then he's asking Kim, how do you know if you have the right one? And Kim's advice is you have to find someone worth investing to put the effort in. So is that what she did with Barry for 25 years and then decided, oops, no, wrong one, and bailed? That doesn't make any sense.
Kim doesn't have any advice to offer.
There is no advice. And none of these people know what they're looking for. And that's why it's always a crapshoot with every single thing that they're doing, every person that they interact with, every relationship that they go into.
I am glad that Micah seems to be questioning whether or not making this relationship more serious than it already is the right next step.
And because that's the thing is Kim's next bit of advice is, well, don't do anything until you do know. But we've just established that we don't know. How do we know?
Don't do anything.
How do we know? So that's the only good takeaway here. But then I think that's what Micah was asking for. Yeah, but then how do you know? Because that's the same question that Moriah and Ethan were pondering at the bar.
Well, how about starting point? We don't have a relationship for less than a year and get married.
One step at a time. Don't rush it. Don't force anything.
Because that's what they've done historically, and it hasn't really worked out for them. Speaking of, we've got Olivia. She is on her way. She is somewhere in the Midwest.
She's driving up to Minnesota from Arizona?
I don't know. Could they not have just picked a state?
They had no idea.
She's somewhere, they don't really know geography, on her way to Minnesota. She's supposed to be getting her divorce, but now she's got to meet up and talk to Moriah first.
She's still getting, like, I miss you texts from Ethan. There's weird stuff that's still happening with the divorce.
When he's drinking.
Oh, probably.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, probably. And she doesn't know how to respond to that. So then there's a mix of frustration and pity that's going on. So she's really looking to close this out. We got to get this done. But she knows she's dealing with Ethan Plath, so she planned a couple extra days to buffer on either side, not expecting much of an itinerary. We'll see what happens. And it's a good thing she did, because now she has pop-up meetings that are getting scheduled here, one-off things with Moriah that she's going to have to go and detour for.
Can you believe it's been 18 months since she last talked to her?
That's crazy. It's been that long.
Because remember, Moriah blocked her.
Well, yeah, the no contact choice, that was Moriah, because that tracks. She blocks anybody that she's having a conflict with because she can't deal with anything. She can't address anything.
That happened after the music situation.
That happened with Ethan.
Right. It also happened with Ethan. That was after.
That was part of the confrontation of stemming from the music stuff, because then that was when Moriah had moved out of their apartment in Tallahassee without notice, and there was a whole bunch of conflicts that were related to that too.
It was also because of the credit card story that Olivia told at the end of the other season about Kim, and the whole family made a coordinated attack on Instagram to post the same message at the same time while Olivia and Ethan were in Europe, saying that Olivia was a liar.
Which Moriah was the ringleader, if you want to stick with that symbolism for this episode.
Just felt like talking about some of the things that Moriah may specifically want to apologize for.
Yeah, because Moriah keeps talking about how she has regrets and she's ready to talk, but she's not really saying about what necessarily. Some of the music stuff is what she keeps generally referring back to.
So Olivia's kind of hesitant about this meeting. She's not really sure what to expect from it, but best case scenario is going to be that Moriah grew up a little bit and that she's taken some accountability.
And Olivia is prepared for this to go south, but she is hoping for the best. She knows that Moriah's not the Wicked Witch of the West, because I think that's Olivia's title now. She went
west, honey.
You went west. That's your territory now. So if anything, Moriah's Wicked Witch of the East at best.
Do we just want to skip to them meeting each other?
That was the next section that I had in my notes.
Where were they? They're at
grandparents' farm.
Oh, okay.
This is in Minnesota. This is where...
I mean, I know they're in Minnesota. I just never saw this place before.
Well, they've spent a lot of time here. Yeah, you don't just get to roll up on a farm and then climb up on structures around it. Unless you know the people whose farm it is and you have permission to do that.
Look dangerous. Well, they found a porch to sit on together.
At first, yeah, we're going to start on the porch for the conversation, because I think it's hard to have a conversation if you're going to be sitting on top of grain barrels. What is it?
I don't know what she called them.
They were, I don't know.
Hashtag farm facts.
Farm facts. I'm not a farmer.
This was strange. The whole thing was weird to me, because the minute that Olivia pulls up in the car, Moriah's at the door, which, like, jump scare. Maybe stay back in your chair at the porch and I'll meet you.
Especially holding a hot beverage. She had a coffee or something.
Is she going to throw it at you?
Yeah.
You don't know. Are we going to start throwing hands now?
Going to have to ocular pat down, threat level assessment here, get a read on you.
It was like such a friendly conversation from the very beginning. It was very clearly two people who are not good at confrontation.
Yes, and so it had to stay at an arm's length because we can't dig down into too much stuff. And Moriah had even said that too. I don't want to talk about or rehash things that did happen unless Olivia wants to talk about that.
I do.
Right.
Because that's good TV.
Well, Moriah just wants to provide a blanket apology for all wrongdoing and then just move on like it never happened.
The actual quote was, "I'm sorry for how I treated you and everything I did last year."
For how I handled everything.
Thanks.
It's a passive-aggressive apology.
The first piece of it, or what she goes on to say?
The continuation here, because then she goes into more detail when she's talking about, I was keeping a record of wrongs, I was justifying things that I was doing, all the things that Moriah is owning up to at this point. And then she starts questioning, who was I to hold everyone else accountable when I was completely blind to things that I'd done? These are all passive shots at Olivia based on now, on the relationship that's going on between Olivia and the Plath parents, Olivia and Ethan, from Moriah's point of view. I feel like this is just things that Moriah is saying to Olivia that she wants Olivia to change about Olivia right now.
All right. It was kind of like saying, You did something shitty to me, so I retaliated against you. Sorry for that. But you shouldn't have been such a bitch, and then I wouldn't have done it.
Well, that, and then, yeah, it's like all these lessons that she's learned because, of course, Moriah has grown since then, and she's learned a lot, and she's way past that and beyond that now because that was immature, and that was reactive, and that was not the person that she is today, mind you. But I feel like those are all things that, these are criticisms of Olivia that she's verbalizing to her right now.
I'm just not so sure that she even knows consciously that she's doing that.
I would be surprised if she did, but I feel like that's what she's carrying because it's the same thing of who are you, Olivia, to hold grudges and keep score and keep track of what rights and wrongs have been done to everyone when you're blind to your own actions.
That also leads to what Olivia says back to her, which is that she's kind of let all of that go. So she makes it clear that she's not holding any grudges anymore.
Well, because it's apparent that this is a self-serving apology. This conversation is from Moriah to Moriah for Moriah, and Olivia's just here as a passive participant. So Olivia is allowing it to happen because she's like, if Moriah needs this to move on for closure on what happened or to feel better, whatever, dude, that's fine. We'll go with that.
She did let her say what she had to say. And then she brought up what was on all of our minds, which was, I was a little hesitant to come here today because I know you're releasing a song this week.
And I would have been so petty. And I would have made sure, do you have the Spotify login though? Are you able to post that later this week? I would have done it.
So the song Circus, which is...
Not the Britney Spears one.
not the one you know and love. This came out the same week on December 1st. I think it was December 1st it dropped.
It was in December 2023.
Well, this is like November. So this is a few days before. That is how close the timing is. And she is talking online very openly about how the song is about Olivia. And then last season, when she was recording it, we saw her talk about how that was the inspiration.
Did Moriah forget to block Olivia on social media? She has no comprehension that Olivia would be following this and have any knowledge about this. She's putting all of this out into the world on social media and online, and then is shocked to find out that Olivia is aware of all this stuff that's happening.
Well, and the other ironic part was part of her apology was about how she handled things publicly instead of privately. And yet Olivia feels like you're privately apologizing to me here, but publicly you're dropping a song that's a burn book about me.
You're dragging me.
Which I guess isn't the way that Moriah suddenly sees it.
And to call it a burn book magnum opus for Moriah, it's really not.
You're giving it a lot of credit.
It's really not that at all. The clown imagery, yes, maybe.
I gotta say, she needs to hone her craft because she really zeroed in on a theme, which was the circus, and the lyrics are very literal.
I don't know if you can use the term freak show anymore. That was a bold choice.
Well, it doesn't matter because she was angry when she wrote the song, and she's not angry anymore.
Again, that was old Moriah. That was years ago now. A year and a half. It takes her a long time to make music. She's been in that same space. She only has 3 songs on Spotify.
She does. Lydia is outdoing her.
Lydia dropped a full album before Moriah did. I mean, she has significantly less monthly listeners, but all she needs is for one of those covers to get picked up on a playlist, and she will be neck and neck.
At a church playlist?
Good night. I'm just saying, for somebody who's really leaning into this and saying, this is my entire life, you've put out 3 singles since the show has been on the air. I think we need to step it up.
My favorite part about this was that Olivia never apologized back. I'm sure some people aren't going to like that.
What does she have to apologize for? It was, bringing up the credit card stuff on camera, maybe not the best move.
Well, if you're not going to give specifics, then I'm not going to give specifics.
Well, and then for the facts to come out where it's I have all the receipts from literal receipts where payments were made with the credit card. Transactions that took place. So to go about it from that angle as well, just seems weird to me. It seems like a lot of the facts aligned with Olivia, so I don't even know why the Plath kids got so defensive and were taken aback by that story, when in actuality, that is pretty much what happened.
Well, they won't do anything that makes Kim look bad, which is why they won't talk about her DUI on camera. But Olivia does acknowledge that she's done things that were not right, that she could have handled things better. We all seem to forget how young she was and how young she and Ethan both were at the beginning of their marriage. And they're at the point that Moriah is now.
That's the subtle dig return from Olivia, because she's saying, well, I know Moriah's like 20, in her early 20s. She is acting in a way, in these things that she had, the reactions that took place during these situations. I'm going to bestow Moriah with the grace that I wish that I had been given at that same age, because that's probably when the credit card stuff was taking place. So
yeah,
if I'm extending this as an apology, acceptance, as a forgiveness thing for how you reacted, then I feel like that should be returned to me for the credit card situation too.
What no one wants to say out loud, or what Olivia doesn't want to say out loud, because she won't say Kim and Barry's names anymore, were that there were things that were held against her by Kim and Barry that she didn't handle well when she was 20, 21, 22, 23. And that's very young, and people are growing and maturing and learning. And here she is being asked to free Moriah's conscience of all of the negativity that is connected to this life experience when she's not been given that same thing in return from the rest of Ethan's family.
And this is where she gets into it, where I don't even know why she started saying this about how much she loved Ethan. I really loved your brother.
I do.
And that, well, Olivia starts crying a little bit here, and she's starting to realize, well, maybe I didn't really have closure on this stuff.
I feel like where that was coming from is she knows that there's a perception within the Plath family that she came in and attempted to destroy everything, that she wanted to rip them apart from each other. And she wanted to make it clear to Moriah that she had good intentions from the beginning.
And this is where Moriah is talking about how confused she is, because it's not that she has doubts that Olivia loved her or loved Ethan, but Moriah is confused because it seemed like Olivia disliked the Plath family so much that Olivia only loved Moriah when she was distant from her family. Like it was a condition of their relationship.
Well, exactly. But that's the way Olivia's personality has been presented to them, is that you had to pick Olivia or the rest of your family. That Moriah was put in that situation, Micah was put in that situation, Ethan was put in that situation.
And I think it had less to do with, oh, are you disliking your parents? Are you not agreeing with your parents? Great. I really like you then. I don't think it was a reward system the way that Moriah is explaining it. It wasn't that transactional based on you don't like your parents, cool, let's hang out. It wasn't that sort of a relationship.
I do think that their perception of the world, which is rooted in Kim and Barry's parenting, is that if you do the good things that I like, you're rewarded with my love. If you do the bad things that I don't like, then I'm going to withhold that from you. And they're applying that broadly to other people that they have relationships with. Because
now she is feeling there was a disconnect. There was a distance in her relationship with Olivia, between Moriah and Olivia. And she's seeing that as disapproval. There's shame that comes in with that. There's all sorts of other tangled emotions that get fired off in sequence as part of that reaction. It seems like it's just a very loaded topic, and I can understand why Moriah is confused about it, but I think she's assigning too much into that black and white viewpoint of discrediting what Olivia was feeling at that time for Moriah.
Well, and everyone forgets all the years before the problems really came to a head and they stopped having a relationship with Kim and Barry. But what about all the other years that she had a relationship with you?
It was always there. Yeah, she always saw you as a younger sister, even when she was in with Kim and Barry. It had been established long before that. So it's just strange to look back on it through that lens and through that filter and seeing it that way that Moriah does.
This whole thing ends with them doing a little in-the-moment interview with production And they're joking about how this just feels like when you're little and your siblings and you get into a fight and your parents have you in front of them and you have to hug and make up. And so they nervously do that. And they go sit on those grain things.
The grain bins, yeah.
And look at each other.
For old time's sake. So I guess they've done this before?
Whatever.
Maybe not on the show.
I don't know. The producers were like, it'll be a great shot. Why don't you go do that?
They're telling each other that they love each other.
Okay.
Love you, bye.
I didn't appreciate that because earlier in the conversation, well, at least in I guess what would be their talking heads, like their couch footage, Olivia says that she loved Moriah, past tense. It's possible that they filmed those much later, but if you don't feel that way about somebody, don't say it.
Yeah, because then Mariah's reply is obligatory. It seemed half-hearted. It seemed like an empty gesture as well.
Well, they're not going to keep in touch. Bo,
right.
No, Bo.
It's
I will not keep in touch.
It's the 90-day fiance, the Natalie and Bo.
And Uncle Bo.
All right, then keep in touch.
These two, they're never going to talk to each other again.
No, Bo.
The end of an era. I think that Olivia had a little moment here to have some closure. Moriah feels better about things. That's good for you. I'm going to work through the things that I have to work through in therapy like I've been doing.
Yeah.
And you go live your life, girl.
Good luck. That's what she should have said. Not I love you. Good luck.
One last passive-aggressive comment. Next episode, Olivia returns to Minnesota to finalize the divorce, but Ethan struggles to accept the end of their marriage. The Plaths navigate their new blended family with Kim's boyfriend. Micah contemplates settling down with his girlfriend, and Moriah enlists Kim's help with making a music video.
Moriah giving Kim a choreographer credit for her music video. Does this mean that there's new music that she's going to coordinate a release, a fourth song on Spotify?
For another season here?
Less than one per season so far.
I don't know how we're going to get through the next episode because the things that I saw coming out of Kim's mouth, shocking.
And Barry Googling how to get Riz?
I forgot.
He's going to have to look that up at some point. And hopefully, Ethan and Olivia finally rip the Band-Aid off.
Thank you for listening. If you want to support us, the best way to do that is by subscribing to the podcast and leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Be sure to chat with us about the episode on our Discord channel by joining our Patreon, patreon.com/survivingpod.
Stay tuned, share with friends. See you next time.
Let's talk about something that's not always top of mind, but still really important. Life insurance. Why? Because it offers financial protection for your loved ones and can help them pay for things like a mortgage, credit card debt. It can even help fund an education. And guess what? Life insurance is probably a lot more affordable than you think. In fact, most people think life insurance is 3 times more expensive than it is. So with State Farm Life Insurance, you can protect your loved ones without breaking the bank. Not sure where to start? State Farm has over 19,000 local agents that can help you choose an option to fit your needs and budget. Get started today and contact a State Farm agent or go to statefarm.com.
Summer is supposed to be an opportunity to slow down. But when you look at your kids, you can't help but notice that your kids are growing up fast. Help them build confidence as they grow with Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app for families where parents can keep an eye on kids' money habits while kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. It's the easy, convenient way to raise financially smart kids. Get your first month free when you sign up at greenlight.com/ACAST.